interesting. Yeah, I read this over and I was hoping we could discuss it.
Okay. He just recently went Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Went on. One of the friends gave him that publication.
Okay.
Even though I told him we have updated information from that.
Where's the information at that you have? It's updated.
This is one of them. We just got this last year.
Because it really didn't. Again, it was kind of just like the other book, the situation. Like it didn't present any facts. It just kind of took other scientists out of context and stuff. And it did something called quote mining, which is when, like with a New Science magazine, they take a quote and it's like out of context. Like let's see. Okay, this is one thing they took out of context for the news magazine. It was one article called "Darwin's Tree Chopped Down." Want to look at it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, it's page 22. And this is just kind of a good example of what I noticed throughout. Okay, you see right here?
Here we go.
Darwin's tree chopped down.
In recent years, scientists have been able to compare the genetic codes of dozens of different single-cell organisms as well as those of plants and animals. They assume that such comparisons would confirm the branching tree of life proposed by Darwin. However, this has not been the case. Is that the point? Or
Yeah,
more?
well, where it quotes. Let's see. Quotes Science magazine right here. Recent research continues to contradict Darwin's theory of common descent. For example, in 2009, an article in New Scientist magazine quoted evolutionary scientist Eric Baptiste as saying, "We have no evidence at all that the tree of life is a reality." The same article quotes evolutionary biologist Michael Rose as saying, "The tree of life is being lightly buried. We all know that. What's less accepted is that our whole fundamental view of biology needs to change." It's okay. This is what I looked up the January 2009 issue of New Scientist, and this is an article that they had, or this is a preface that they put in the thing. They said in the very issue that they took these quotes from, "None of these should give successor to creationists. Expect to find excerpts ripped out of context and presented as evidence that biologists are deserting the theory of evolution. They are not. Much has been learned about science since Darwin's day. He was wrong in certain speculations, but the theory of evolution is still on firm ground." And that's what was written in the very article that they took these quotes from. So that's what quote mining is. It's when you intentionally take a quote and take it out of context. And this is done throughout the magazine.
May I ask you, I'm new to this, what we're trying to understand here?
I mean, because I have questions about evolution and about the evidence being presented about evolution. Because to me, it seems like it's overwhelming.
What is evolution to you?
Evolution to me is an explanation of why we have the variety of species on the Earth. You know, it understands how an already existing organism divides into the variety that we have today.
Okay. Now, where do life come from?
And see, that's a main point that I also noticed about this book, is it throws together like origins, which is called, it's a separate field, it's called abiogenesis. That's the origins of life on Earth. The theory of evolution is an explanation for the diversity of life on Earth. It's two completely different definitions. They're not by any means the same thing. And see, that's what I noticed this book does, was it assumes if you believe evolution is true, then you believe life is spontaneously generated. That's not so. So your question, like what I believe evolution is just, are you familiar with the theory of natural selection?
Mm-hmm.
Through that's a force in nature. That's another thing I noticed. They use chance, random chance, when they're talking about what scientists believe. That's not true. Random chance isn't the driving force of evolution. Natural selection is trying to survive. So, an example I've given him before with a marine iguana in the Galapagos. Are you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
How I don't know if it did, but it's just an example of what natural selection is. At one time, it was a green iguana. And then they got trapped on the island. Now, every generation has a certain percentage of genetic mutations. Like it's just like when you have kids, one's gonna have freckles, when they not, just little mutations, which is proven through all species. Now, the little mutations that allow them to have black skin, they're naturally going to survive. So the darker one's going to breed. So eventually, the iguana is going to turn black, and it's going to change to look like the marine iguana you see today. Now, when it crosses a point where it can't go back and breed with the original species, the green iguana, it's called speciation. Yeah, speciation. Or that's what it's called, and we've observed that happening. So that's my definition of evolution.
Would you not also say if we had a herd of cows, all of them are black,
Right.
what will they produce?
Some would have most majority would be darker cows, and some lighter cows.
Over the period of time, what would all of them be?
Well, you see, you can't. I could see you're misunderstanding that. You're leaving out the natural force of natural selection. And see, what that is, it's competition, and it's a beneficial thing. So, a cow is not a good analogy because cows are when you think of cow, you're thinking of farm raised, unless you're talking about a buffalo or something. And that's been conditioned. That's more of a controlled environment. Now, what I'm talking about is out in the wild. But a cow is a good example. It could be a good example because look at like how we've changed animals over the years. But it's still going to produce a cow. It's just okay. If the environment changes, like say it needs to reach its neck. Like say the giraffe, for example. The giraffe, apparently it's just eating vegetation that was on top. So that was its primary food source at the time. So over a course of, millions and millions of years, the ones with shorter necks are going to breed less. Because naturally when you have kids, you have a short kid and a tall kid. It's just the chances of that happening. So the taller one's going to live, so they're going to keep breeding. And that's how you can explain for the neck growing.
Okay, so what's the difference? I'm trying to get that and dealing with creation.
But that's...
Would you not have to have a higher source or
No.
a person or personage that...
creation, you have to define what create. I mean, creation of life on Earth or creation of matter?
Everything.
Not just everything?
Everything.
We have speculations like the Big Bang string theory. We have a lot of supporting evidence for that, but we don't have enough evidence with saying
like evolution. The Big Bang theory.
Yeah, we have evidence of that. We have leftover. I don't know what it would be. The radiation remnants of it happening. We have to account for the universe is expanding. We're watching it expand, and it's moving. So if you rewind time back, at one point everything had to be on top of each other. So I mean, there's supporting evidence. I'm not I don't astrophysicist. You know, I'm not good with math, so I'm not too good in that field. But I understand. You know what they're. That's why we have scientists. They go to school and they learn these things. Now we can't say how exactly it happened before that point because we don't know yet. We're still speculating. But you can't say that we never will. I mean, that's like talking to the Wright brothers and telling them, well, you didn't build a rocket ship and go to the moon. You never. We don't. That's like saying there's no scientific evidence at the time for the Wright brothers that they could go to the moon.
So to you, what is a theory?
A theory, and that's a good question. A theory, in layman's terms, is different from a scientific theory, and you have to make that distinction because, in your mind, what I'm assuming what you're thinking a theory is just a speculation, and it's not so with scientific theory. Scientific theory is still, again, what I was saying earlier is we can't know for certain, because that's the difference between science and other things. Science is constantly under scrutiny and self-correcting, so it can't absolutely you can't assert itself saying this is absolutely the case.
So my question is, to my understanding, a theory is an unproven fact. In layman's terms.
No. I mean, it's the gravity is just a theory right now. That's like saying gravity. That's like debating whether gravity exists or not.
Okay,
because gravity is not fact. Gravity is a scientific theory.
How about the wind?
The wind is demonstrable. That's a fact because we can demonstrate that. You can see the wind.
Would not gravity be a fact because that's what's holding us down?
No, but we understand how gravity works. We understand what's causing it, but it's still a scientific theory. My point in that is showing you just because it's called a scientific theory doesn't take any weight off of it.
I'm not debating with you on that, but see, I think what we're doing now is going from a theory until something that is reality. We know
no, that's not the case though, because you have to. What dictates your decisions every day that you go through your life? Evidence of previous decisions. That's how you guide your way through life. If you guide your way through life, why not do it on this one point? And that's how I feel, because all the evidence is showing. Why should I not believe these scientists?
Well, man, let me ask you the same thing with the Bible.
Well,
have you found anything untrue about the Bible?
Evolution, the ark.
The what?
The ark and evolution primarily.
The ark?
Yeah, Noah and the ark.
What? Why do you say that? I mean, I'm just trying to.
Because I understand. You just feel free. Because the ark. I mean, okay. That brings to a good point. And let me see. I wrote it down here. Hold up. Wrote it down. And okay, and one of your publications, Reasoning from the Scriptures. Have you read that?
Yeah.
Okay, on page 87, it defines. Looking at the definition of kind. Okay. All infertile varieties of any animal are just one kind. So the rough definition of what it should say on page 87.
Did God create all the millions of variety of organisms that exist on